Hello, good morning, and welcome to your daily hope booster for today, which is Thursday. I had a really hard time deciding on the topic for today's video. You know, over the last few weeks, there has been an absolute influx of cool possibilities and offerings that people have been putting out and making available to everyone, to those of us that are, suffering through the stress and anxiety of the global pandemic, who are balancing work and kids and being with our families 24/7 and all of those things. And I am no exception. You know, I show up here every single day looking for ways that I can help support you and answer questions. And I'm showing up for me as well. You know, the intentionality of what I'm learning and what I'm researching to be able to teach you and to share my tips and tricks on how to look forward to a more hopeful future. I really think that that's important stuff. But I'm also recognizing that there's so much out there, and sometimes it makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, or other people are doing it better, or there's something else I should be doing when really I just want to curl up in a ball and go into my bed. And I imagine that many of you are feeling the same way, and so I thought today I would come on this video and share with you a little of my own personal story and why I show up every day and why hope is so important to me and why I will and I do continue to share these tips and tricks and this the science of hope, because it has made such a huge difference in my life at the absolute lowest point in my life, and how I got through it using the power of hope, which is why I keep doing these videos and showing up and offering my tips and tricks in my enthusiastic, over the top, hopefully contagious, but sometimes really super annoying way. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. So over the last 3 or 4 years, personally have been going through quite a trying, exhausting, unknown time. You know, even before the pandemic, we've been dealing with mental health and addiction in my family, and this is not something that I have any experience with, have recognized before. It was not something that I could cope with and what had any familiarity with at all. And my response to it was to work more, to cope by avoidance, to cope through absolute turtling and getting inside myself and getting in my head and hiding and not talking about anything out loud at all. I remember very clearly the day that I recognized I got my hope back, not recognizing that I'd lost it in the first place. And that was a huge awareness for me, because going through the motions and not reaching for my future and not continuing to action towards my goals is not who I typically was, not who I typically am. My entire life, all 41 almost years of it, I have strived for more for myself and for those around me as well. But I have always been an overachiever, a high achiever. And the day that I recognized I'd stopped doing that and had just been going through the motions was a huge day. It was a huge realization for me. And so with that came, cool, what are you going to do about that now, Linz? And for me, what I did with that was find more hope, was to action and use my hope to motivate myself towards greater action. For me, that looked like education. That looked like more knowledge and reading and podcasts and articles and all of those things. For me, knowledge is power. And so I think that's why I show up in these videos every day, to share more knowledge, because if that worked for me, hopefully that will also work for you, to have more knowledge and tips and tricks and things you can action and things you can try to help you get out of a place of feeling hopeless or just going through the motions, as opposed to moving towards your more hopeful future that you would typically go for. one of the other things that I did was start to talk out loud. You know, these videos have given me an opportunity to continue to talk out loud because I recognize the importance of sharing my story. Not only for that connection with other people so that I felt more less alone and more supported and more cared for. I also got to hear their stories and to hear that what I was going through could be related to, that I wasn't the only one in the history of time that was, you know, dealing with the things that we were dealing with at home. And it helped me to feel like there was probably some solutions because I was not the first one to have dealt with this and had to move through these kinds of things. So talking out loud became my salvation, became the way that I could learn to be more vulnerable, to get more in touch with my own feelings, and to get a little bit more deeper self-awareness of what I was feeling, and you'll be able to put language to that as well. And then the next biggest thing that was really helpful for me was that whole self-forgiveness piece, that even though what I was going through and what we've been through, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't seem to be a huge deal, that there are people in the world that have it much worse than I do, than we do. There's starving children in Africa, and there's dying folks in Italy, and much grander, more horrible things. The self-forgiveness to understand and recognize that if it matters to me, it matters. And that there is no discounting how we feel about something. We are allowed to feel the way that we feel, and it matters, and we get to feel it and move through it and talk about it and come out the other side of it and be proud of how we've grown and how we've moved through it. The point of my story is that if it matters to you, it matters. If it mattered to me, it mattered, and I was allowed to feel it and share it and talk about it and move through it. And that self-forgiveness piece was really, really important. Anyway, I know this is a bit of a weirder video today, but I just wanted to share that it's okay if what you're hearing and seeing and thinking doesn't serve you right now, if it doesn't suit where you're at, if it's more annoying and less helpful. Okay, that's okay, you get to choose. And if someday down the road, listening to these videos or reading those news stories or listening to the motivational podcasts that you used to love, if it's time to get back into those in a little bit, cool. You get to choose that too. That whole self-forgiveness piece for recognizing and flexing and figuring out what's best for you today. That's what I hope to continue to support you in doing is those choices and finding what is the right thing for you today, and to support you in whatever you need. So thank you for listening to this random, weird Daily Hope video, but I hope that perspective offers you some comfort and maybe some ideas, and I look forward to connecting with you again tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.